It's another Wednesday. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us on the program Flipside. My name is Daisy Leo Asikidi. Well, it's no news since Sunday. Everyone has been talking about a particular girl, Vera Waila, and actually that incident seemed to have happened on Saturday, but it broke the internet on Sunday, and besides seeing some people's status, even before the electronic media broke the news, it was already on social media. Now, the story was the girl was raped in the church, and beyond Uwaila, how safe are you as a woman out there? So this might have happened to an 100-level University of Benin student. It could happen to anybody. We've talked about rape on Flipside before. It's a sad situation, a very sad topic, but we had to talk about it. So for those who missed out on the previous episodes on rape, you would have to watch it on YouTube. Just go to ITV Benin on YouTube, go to the playlist and look for the program Flipside amongst the playlist and search for the topics. We have rape, a psychiatrist's perspective, rape, lawyer's perspective. So the legal angle of rape was dealt with adequately, and then the psychological aspects of rape was dealt with. But today we're going to talk about victim blaming in rape cases. Victim blaming in rape cases. Once again, my name is Daisy Leo Asikidi. For those who missed out on this story, we're going to play you the news so you can catch up. Then when we come back from that, you'll meet my guest and we'll get talking.
At the scene of the incident in Ove Quarters, Ikubahel, Benin City, revealed that the church in which the deceased was allegedly raped and killed was under lock. Some windows in the church were shattered by suspected groups in anger over the dastardly act. At the residence of the bereaved family, situated at Michael Lane in Ove Quarters, Benin City, sympathizers flocked the residents to condole with the family. Father of the deceased, Elder Johnson Omozua, said life has become miserable for him as the only daughter who gives him joy was killed, and demanded for justice.
When I got to the scene of crime, that what I saw there, the damages, even the weapon that was used, because the guy was not hit any part of the body, only the head. Blood from the nose, from the ear, from the mouth. With the situation of this girl, I made this girl on coma. And even this situation is increasing.
Friends and associates of late Miss Vera Waila Omozoa protested to the headquarters of Edo State Police Command, Benin City, and called on the police to fish out those behind the act. The protesters were also at Government House, Benin City. Addressing the protesters, the Commissioner for Social Development and Gender Matters, Miriam Edeko, said government is already on top of the situation.
We are very passionate as government on gender-based issues. Issue of rape, defilement, violence against persons.
On what the police are doing to ensure justice on the issue, the Police Public Relations Officer at Edo State Command, DSP Chidi Nwambuzo, said one suspect is currently in custody over the incident and sympathize with the family of the deceased.
The items used in assaulting and wounding her was recovered. A fire extinguisher cylinder. Immediately, the operatives who were with the specialist screened the fingerprint on the cylinder, moved the body of the victim while she was still alive and in a state of coma. The area commander in charge of Ikubahi Area Command took it upon himself, mobilized his operatives, moved to town around the area of incident, and the suspect was apprehended.
Until her death, Miss Vera Waila Omozoa was a 100-level student of microbiology, University of Benin. Wellington Hakodeja reporting.
Okay, it's still ongoing. The case on Uwa is actually still ongoing. The wife of the governor of Edo State has gone to see the parents of the girl. And the matter is actually at the police station. Then there was this news on social media this morning where the sisters of the girl involved in this incident were protesting, saying that some police a policewoman at Oregbeni police station said was their dad the first person to have a child who was raped. All of those things, yes, are still speculations that we can all hold on and say this is the fact. Social media can be very funny, but apart from Uwa, Vera, it could be any other person. That's why today we're going to focus on victim blaming in rape cases, not just on this particular incident. I have a lecturer with me here who also does counseling for youths. I have with me Godwin Igalo. Good to have you on Flipside today.
Nice to be here.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's looking really different. If you watch previous episodes with him on the show, you will know the difference. Let me not spot it out. Okay, now, when this incident of this case came up, this is not the first rape case that has been publicized. Earlier this year, there was one that happened in Abuja. I don't know if you can remember. The woman works in the State House. She was raped by some guys in her street. When they were done, they mutilated her body. As if that was not enough, they burnt her and burnt her house. But what helped was one of the perpetrators of that dastardly act left his phone in the crime scene. And so that was how they were apprehended. It was so swift and it was fast, and we were glad. But that was one case. She was also gang raped, and these things seem to be increasing more. We've moved beyond students taking sniper. Seems like this is now another incident. When you saw the story, what was the first thing that came to your mind about all of this?
Yeah, that particular case when the girl was raped in church and at the end of the day killed, you know, it's just kind of spelling for us, or kind of portraying the level of indiscipline and wickedness in our society, where the girl had not gone to party, the girl had not worn seductive things, the girl had not done it to attract, provoke sexual arousement in anybody, but she was traced to a responsible place like a church and now attacked. You know, it portrays that our society is sick, and that sickness has gone to a very morbid level that everybody will need to be scared of his or her life in this present society. You know, so that's just it. And again, not thinking of that the loss of vision, the loss of potential. You have done what you wanted to do, but you went ahead to do what you were not permitted to do by creation, taking of life. And again, you are not thinking about what happens to the family, what happens to the girl's vision. You know, you have done your fleshly satisfaction. You now took life. It's actually a very sad state, and I know that the family, the sorrowful state of the family, you know, will be very, you know, very grave. And I think we want to quickly tell the family, you know, things, comfortable ways that, you know, we commiserate with them, and we know the extent to which they are grieving right now. May God really give them the fortitude to bear it. Yeah. But that act on its own is like a mirror of the unseen part of the society. That is an unseen, it's not frequently considered. But when the victim shows up, we now see that what is happening. But actually, there are so many of such cases that have happened that have not come to the
public knowledge.
Public knowledge. So it's a mirror of the depth of wickedness in the society right now.
Okay. In as much as we don't want to focus too much only on this girl, but I want to ask a little question on it quickly. We know the Inspector General of Police has offered to send assistance to the Commissioner of Police in Edo State to quicken the forensic analysis in this matter. And I'm wondering, why do we need extra help in analyzing cases like this? And we suppose at this stage, this is 2020, Vision 2020, at this stage, shouldn't we have been well developed to the point where cases like this happen, we have investigators at the crime scene picking up DNA samples, analyzing it in a couple of days. The pictures of these people are on television all around the world, like they do in developed societies. We have universities in Edo State that have scientific laboratories and all that. So why at this stage we still look for external assistance?
Yeah, you're bringing also the aspect of competent investigation.
Yes.
In terms of crime, you know. Actually, we have laboratories, both private, medical, non-medical, or institutional-based laboratory, research laboratories in universities and tertiary institutions in Nigeria, in Benin, in Edo State. But the fact is that the laboratories or the laboratory that would be competent to handle such case is not the regular research laboratory or perhaps hospital-based laboratory. There are specialized laboratories and there are specialized institutional framework entities that should focus on that are competent to handle cases of crime investigation that relates to rape, looking at going to the crime scene from when the incident happened, going to the crime scene to preserve the crime scene. There's what we call crime scene preservation. After you have preserved the crime scene, you now go ahead to do sample collection, even from the crime scene and from the victim of the rape. After you have done sample collection, you do what we call chain of custody preservation and go further to do analysis. And we could do all of those preliminary aspects, crime scene preservation, sample collection, chain of custody maintenance, but we may not be able to go very deep into the aspect of subjecting the samples to analysis, series of analysis, to bring the culprit, to identify the culprit and bring the culprit to book. Why did I say this? You know, like in developed countries, they have procedures that they have developed even before the crime takes place. But in Nigeria here, there are lots of vacuums. There's a lot of things that have not been put in place. Imagine we do not have a central data of DNA. So if you're going to do DNA matching, with what will you match? So if you're going to match with anything, you must have had some suspected persons. You now do your sample collection, do your analysis, and collect the data from your samples, the results, and compare with something, maybe suspected persons. But at this point in time, we do not have, right now, suspected persons. That is in the hand of the police, so we cannot dive into that. Then, of course, if we're going to compare with previous data that have been collected in terms of DNA, profiling and all that, we do not, as we speak now, we don't have central data, just the way we have been saying about data issue in Nigeria. Data as per biometrics, biometrics, DNA data, and other forms of data. We do not have right now. Even if we have, they are in piecemeals, and perhaps whether they have been compromised, I can't even say. But right now, you need such rich data bank of DNA that would help to what? Carry out identity analysis with respect to what? The sample that was collected, the result that was obtained, so that you now do a match and you now bring about some suspects, which you now go further to narrow it down to the particular person. So these things are, the framework for all of this have not been put in place in our present society.
Okay, victim blaming in rape cases. When we talk about victim blaming, what exactly are we talking about? We mean that the person who was involved in the rape, the person who was raped, blames are laid on his or her doorstep. You were raped because you did this. You were raped because you didn't do that. There are reasons why you were raped. It also happens in courts interrogations when these rape victims finally have the energy to cry out. You hear lawyers asking questions about their previous sexual experiences, sexual encounters, their sexual history. Have you dated before? How many guys did you date? And all that. If that's the reason, or why were you dressed this way? Why did you go out at this particular time? Is it that you're blaming the victim, you're blaming her family, but ignoring the perpetrators of the act? That's actually what victim blaming is about. But why is it that when it comes to rape cases, we still have a lot of educated people practicing this act of victim blaming?
Yeah, the act of victim blaming comes up when you try to analyze the circumstances that led to the rape, that led to the crime. You try to analyze the factors that predisposed the victim to it, or the factor that pressured or motivated the violator, the offender. So when you do the analysis of this, you now try to look at the balance. Where is the pendulum going to?
Yeah.
The pendulum of the cause and effects of rape, where is it going to? So in some cases, you now begin to see, after proper dissection, you now begin to see that this issue of rape may be, the blame may be distributed to the victim and the violator. You may see rational analysis where the causes or the factor that predisposed to the rape will be fairly distributed between the person affected and the person that effected the crime. But one thing is sure, the victim blaming there are some merit in victim blaming. There are some merit in victim blaming. And some of the victim blaming practices or opinions are baseless, outrightly baseless. You can't be blaming, for example, if a rape takes place, will you blame a woman who is 80 years old? Criminals came to the house and they came to steal, and they saw a woman that is 80 years old and they raped the woman. Will you have any justification to do victim blaming in that regard? What will an 80 years old woman do in respect to sexual harassment or any whatever, whether naked or anything, that will not make a young person to begin to rape? So that your victim blaming will be baseless. But in other sense of it, you see a lady that decides to dress seductively, and at the end of the day, in the entire area, she's prouding herself that, oh, nobody has been able to date me, nobody has been able to fall me, I'm a super woman in this area. And yet, she dresses seductively, moves alone, goes to party and all that. If that person is, if there's an arrangement to do anything with that person, you see that to an extent, you will see that there will be areas where this person will be blamed. So that is it. A situation where there's indecent dressing, there's seductive moves, and yet you're not giving consent to sexual advances because you want to prove a point. You want to afflict men or the opposite sex with your sexual prowess, with your sexual endowment, and yet you want to show it to them that you are a superwoman. By the time they organize for rape, what happens? Some persons may decide to blame you because you took part in promoting the process that led to the rape. So that's the basis for victim blaming.
Do you think there's any reason good enough for a girl to be raped?
Okay. There's no reason, because rape is a crime. Rape is it's a form of sexual assault that is kind of there are frameworks of the law that discourages it, and that, you know, when once convicted, that brings about punishment for rape offenders. So there's no justification, whether based on legal consideration or spiritual consideration or cultural consideration. There's no justification for rape in any way.
Okay. Now, when this matter, using Vera as a case study, when the incident happened, comments were already on social media on it. Now, I have this comment on Facebook, screenshotted. It says, it's by Amadikwa Henry. It says, of all places to read on earth, she chose the church, meaning she was running away from something. Most likely, some people were after her. I don't know if there's anything wrong with reading in a church. Another one said, another question is, which book she go read inside church? As Univen resumed, which exam she won't write inside COVID-19? I mean, that's a statement someone who is presumed educated posted on this matter. This one now wrote, simple truth is no school is open. Which exam is she reading for? To the extent of going to church to read, Abi, she did find chemical formula to cure coronavirus. She don't go do one rugged runs when chop her life, but only God knows what happened. Another human being posted that. We also have this one that is really, really scary. The guy's name is Scarface. It says, a bad guys, make una no kill after raping. Forget the fact, say she did cry in the process, but to be sincere, she's enjoying it more than you. Now, this comments, these are comments, several comments Then there was another one that was about the girl is dating 2 roommates at the same time. That's why she was raped. And several other comments about this. Nigerian society, what can we do to people who blame victims of rape? What can we do? How should we treat them?
Okay. People who blame the victims of rape.
Yes.
Yeah, it's what can be done in that regard is to make such people, especially when they have misconstrued opinions, to make them to enlighten them and properly reorientate their minds, their mindset. Because the lady that particularly would have been raped did not call for it. If the lady wanted sexual pleasure, she would have done that within the confines of a worthwhile relationship. But a lady that stayed on her own or on her own in an environment like church or anywhere, or even at home, you're coming to rape the lady did not call for it. So the idea of she's enjoying it is totally ruled out. Then the idea of she's going to church to go and hide away from criminal offenses, she would have hidden away in her own house. Perhaps she would have loved an environment that is cool and quiet for reading. So trying to dissect a motive, going to read, somebody that has a good reading culture will not wait for an exam to read. So for people that think that somebody went to read because the person wants to write an exam, no, you can be reading for self-enhancement, for self-development without pursuing any degree. That means if you have written all the exams in this world, like you are not supposed to read, that's what that person is saying. So it's a wrong impression altogether. Then going to church is a quiet environment. You know, perhaps mixture of activities like, oh, I will go to church, I will praise God, I will sing, I will pray, then I will read. Maybe as a result of combined activities, you not just be reading alone. So judging her after her death or after her becoming a victim, you are doing double jeopardy on her, and it's very wrong. So for those people who go ahead without justification to blame victims of rape, please, I need to advise you, I need to tell you, to challenge you to read more about cases where people were raped. They did not provoke the rape. They did not contribute to the rape process. They did not arouse anybody. They just lived their life, and they were raped for no just cause. Think about such people before you start blaming the victims of rape. Of course, at times, people become victims of rape because of so many things. So many things. People are pushed to a corner, like child labor is a predisposing factor to rape. The person becomes a victim. If the person don't choose to suffer from child labor, like baby factory factors, where people are locked up somewhere, so men come to sleep with them, make babies because they could not make babies in their marriage. Those are rapes that perhaps are not reported because the victims are still locked up there. Maybe they were kidnapped. So will you start blaming such person? So there are addict raping, where somebody is introduced into drug gradually, and at the end of the day, even drug by injection, forceful injection of drug, person misbehaves and allows herself to be raped or himself to be raped. So most times the factor that predisposes people to the rape is so heavy on them, so irresistible, to the extent that they face the rape, that you sit down somewhere and begin to blame them. Instead of thinking of how we can reorientate our society, conscientize those people that are predisposed to raping, look at how we can give them medical solution if they are mentally imbalanced, if they are drug addict that is pushing them to the raping process or the raping crime. At the end of the day, looking for how to help them out so that those that perpetrate the rape will be reduced. You are sitting down blaming the rape victims. You know, it's double punishment, double jeopardy. So I think that should be highly discouraged.
Okay. Personally, I'm going to say there really is no reason for you to even come out to say someone contributed to being raped. Rape is rape. You have self-discipline. If you don't, you should develop it. And if someone is dressed seductively, you should look the other way if you feel you're too moved. There are people who, there was this comments where someone put on Facebook and said she was wearing her hijab when she was raped. So it's not really about the dressing seductively. I think people who have weak control over their emotions and people who have perverted minds will always justify the reasons why they do this. Now I'm going to give you these reasons. There's no excuse for rape. She wore short skirts is not an excuse. She was shaking her bum bum is not an excuse. She is a flirt and a tease is not an excuse. She wanted it is not an excuse. The moment she says no, please, you have to go. She came to my house to visit me alone is not an excuse. She might have come with a very open mind to come visit you. Now, I've spent a lot of money on her. It's not an excuse. Nobody put a gun on your head to invest in a woman. I've spent a lot on her is not an excuse. She's my girlfriend. We've been doing it, and why would she now say no today? Is not an excuse. If she says no, she means no. I said sorry is not an excuse when you've already done the act. I thought she was doing shakara is not an excuse. She insulted me and I wanted revenge is not an excuse for rape. She slept over in my house, so she was indirectly asking for it is not an excuse. She was drunk is not an excuse. She was all over me is not an excuse. She is a prostitute is not an excuse. They have rights too, you know. They have rights. It was a bet between me and my friends is not an excuse. She did not push me away is not an excuse. Now, this is another part where many men get it wrong and say she was enjoying it. When people are in situations of shock, some people will just become immobile. They don't move. Now, there was also a comment I saw on Facebook where someone said, when you're about to be raped, don't struggle because they will still overcome you. So just stay put and let them rape you so you will not get injured. And I'm wondering how we reason. She did not say no well. She was saying it faintly. It's not an excuse. It was the devil. Is not an excuse. Her breast was showing. Is not an excuse. Her dress was tight. Is not an excuse. In fact, there is no excuse for rape. It can never be justified. It can never be justified. I want to say thank you for being with me on the show today.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Yeah. I didn't bring a woman to talk about this because I think women at this stage, we are all being very emotional. The matter is still very hot. I need to bring a man to deal with this. Please, there's no excuse for rape. No matter what the woman in question did or is doing, there is no excuse for rape. It is a crime, and the perpetrators of this act must be brought to book. I'm Daisy Leo Asikidi. Thanks for watching.